Welcome to another episode of Ask the Druids. And today we have part two of past lives, which I know a lot of people have been asking about. So, Avani, thank you for being back and being a part of this yet again.
Thank you for letting me be part of this fun.
I know, I love it. So many questions. We got a whole list of more questions for them as well. Yep, absolutely. So, for those people that haven't seen part one, do you want to give a little intro of yourself and who you are?
Oh, sure. So my name is Avani Patel. I am a hypnotherapist and a life and leadership coach. And so part of my work is to do past life regressions, which is why when Katie asked me to be a part of this, I immediately said I want to talk about past lives because it is something that's so near and dear to my heart.
Yes, it was. It was a really cool conversation last time. So if you haven't seen the first part, go back, watch that. You don't have to watch them sequentially. So finish this one up and you can go back and watch that one because I think this will be really, really good. So with that, are you ready to get started?
Let's do this.
All right. Or you've come back for additional information on how the lifetimes work and how they are not sequential, but they're all happening simultaneously, with just in different dimensions, timelines, or restructuring. And as we told you before, and as you remember, it is all about how you can assist yourself in healing within this timeline for another, and how it does not go backward and forward, but it goes linearly through all of those timelines to allow for the shifting to happen. For when this consciousness specifically can assist a prior consciousness, we use the word prior to you can understand past lives, but instead it is with a linear consciousness. So when it can go and assist that one, that allows for it. And as you may have understood before, is that this information that comes through, when you feel like you are having a new energy that needs to be released or healed or realigned, or there is a trigger that's happening, many times that is coming from that lifetime because they know you are powerful enough to heal it. They know you have the strength and the support and the ability to heal it. And so that allows for so much more there to happen and so much more for it to come in. So you are doing the service for the other parts of you and the other consciousnesses that your soul resides in to allow for that to come in and to be one. And you say, well, this soul would be the same as that soul. And know and understand that within all of these consciousness and all of these timelines, that the soul is not absolutely identical to what was before and what is now, but instead is an allowance for this lifetime to have an ability and an understanding that the other lifetimes can allow for that integration to happen. But you may have brought other skills, other tools, other energies with you now that you may have something different. So we want you to understand that the core of the soul is the same, but they may have picked up other attributes to assist them in their learning, their expansion, and their growth during that other consciousness time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so what else do you have for us? We will let you just ask what is on your mind instead of us just answering what it is that you would like to know.
Well, you kind of brought up my first question anyway, because you're just very good like that. But to piggyback, we talked about that earlier. You just mentioned not having linear space and time. And so we are continuously learning and growing and experiencing. Does ever come a point where we stop learning lessons at a certain point? And when does that happen, if it does?
The learning is never over. For if you are done learning an experience in a lifetime, it was when you go back home and you decide to transition out of the human experience. And so the learning is always happening. Now, it might not be how you would see it as a child that is learning a new skill or a new trade. Instead, it could be a learning from a perspective standpoint. You're watching something, you're watching a child when you are at the elderly age, and you're going, oh, I see why they are putting that together that way. I understand how they're thinking about this. That could be a learning that you have. But if you just give up and are done overall, and there are no more learnings or experiences you wanted or different perception ways you want to view things, that is when there is no point of being in a human existence anymore. But the point of the human existence is learning and experiencing so much. And you may say, okay, in this lifetime, I experienced happiness and joy. Now, in this other lifetime, I want to experience the opposite. So you may say, now I want to experience sadness and fear and despair. And it might be about you want to see the opposite, or you want to see a different perspective of what was there. And so all of those things allow for that reconnection of it. So you just experience it differently. Then you may say, I want to have a lifetime where I experience happiness and joy, but I want to then go right into the despair. But then I want to come back out of that and experience how you get out of that sadness and despair back into happiness and joy again. So there are so many different things to have. And learning is truly never done. It is never finished. There's always something else that a soul may decide it wants to pick up and it wants to have. But it is truly always up to the soul and the spirit to decide what it is they're looking for. And when that happens and when that comes together, that truly allows for so much more to be than whatever has been before. Does that answer your question?
Yes. You had just mentioned that you're helping us understand the human experience, but you had just mentioned that once we are done, we transition out of the human experience. What is next after that?
Well, once you leave the human experience, you have the choice or the ability to go and do another human experience. You may choose to be a guide for someone else. You may want to take a rest for a while or work within another energy form. You may say, I want to work within the healing energy space, or I want to work more within the earth plane, or I want to incarnate perhaps on a different planet or a different dimension or a different time and space. So there are so many things that the soul can choose to do. It may say, okay, I want to let go of all of these things that I picked up in this lifetime, and I want to go into another one. So it is about what that soul's direction wants to be. It is about understanding how they can continue to ascend and how they can continue to become a stronger energetic being. And that is about going into all of these different places. So the example we will provide for you, it is like you have a very, very tall skyscraper office building. And so the soul can go to all of these different offices, all of these different floors, and learn other things, pick up other things, experience other things. And it will decide that, oh, I want to work in this area, or, oh, I want to go into this place. And so it is about allowing for what it is needed. And because there are so many spaces, there's always so many different levels of understanding and education. The same way a child that has to learn how to read first learns their letters, then they learn words, then they learn sounds of words to be able to learn bigger words. And then by the end, they're reading. But someday when they are older, they may come across a word and go, I've never heard that word before. I do not know. But then they will learn that word by looking it up and understanding the definition or how it's used. And so that is about why it is. That is truly how it allows for that to be. And so the soul can operate in a similar way. It may go into the house of healing to learn how to heal and assist others. And it may come down into the earth and become a doctor or a healer. Then it may go back into that place again when it leaves that lifetime and say, now I'm ready for the next level of healing. And then it comes back as a shaman that can heal many at even a stronger standpoint energetically instead of just Western wise. And then it may continue to evolve like that so that it can get to exactly where it needs to be. Does that make sense to you?
Can you tell me more about the other places outside of the earth that we can have lifetimes in?
Well, there are so many within the galaxy that humans understand. There are so many other planets and dimensions. There are even other dimensions that are similar to Earth or on the Earth plane that just seem very different that are there because everything is happening simultaneously. But yes, you can go to other planets that you may reconnect with more to go back to where your roots are. So you may come to find that you want to go back within the Palladian plane. You may want to go back into the Arcturian plane. You may go into all these other places to experience things differently. Now, no one understand that Earth is one of the hardest planets to live on. It is also the most dense, and it is kind of the weakest link of the universe. But that is why it is raising and it is growing as it is. It is ascending into new dimensions, into new vibrations. And all of you that have chosen to be on the Earth plane at this point in time have agreed to be part of this and experience this, which is very pivotal and very exciting for all of you, as it is for us, as we are also working through her during this time down here. And so it is about knowing where your soul wants to do, where it wants to be, what it still has to learn. Now, in every lifetime, you may say, oh, I have finished this. I am ready to excel. I'm ready to move on. But that doesn't mean that there weren't things that you didn't complete. For no lifetime, when someone leaves a lifetime, have they completed 100% of everything that they may possibly have signed up for. There may be some things that they said, I'll just save that till next time, or that isn't important to me right now because of a different experience that free will brought to them. But know that as all of that is happening, it is truly an allowance for you to decide where you want to be. So to answer your question of where else do you go, well, the possibilities are endless. It is, what do you want to experience? What do you want to know? Where do you want to align yourself? What'll assist you? And in maybe some cases, you have come back and you are doing your life review and you are seeing the positive and the negative and the karma you have picked up or the karma you have released or the energies that are there. And you may go, this is my next step. This is where I want to be. Or perhaps you just rest and relax and you watch others on their journey. For anything is possible. And it is even grander than your human brain can even imagine.
And are these actual physical places, or are they just concepts that we create as beings?
So the human mind needs to create these little ideas of what is there. So yes, in a way, you've created this idea that there have to be places and spots. That's why we use the example of the office building, because a human mind can get their thoughts around, oh, they go on this floor into this office and they go to this floor into that office. But if you think about it energetically, it's all the same. It's all about the intention, what there is, where there is. If you think about how you can manifest something on this earth and automatically you go, this is what I need. And when it shows up immediately, that is kind of how it is within within the source field, that you can just go, yes, this is where I need to be. This is who I need to connect with. This is what I need to have. So it is easier for you to understand it when you can think of different places. But instead, if you can just think of it as different realities or different spaces that your mind goes to, or that your soul, higher self being takes you to, that is a better conceptual understanding of how it actually works.
So there are different realities going on right now simultaneously here on Earth, but because of our frequencies, we are picking up a certain reality and not another one.
It is because of where your consciousness is residing. So if you can think about things as all of the different times free will has had to make a decision. I need to go here, I need to go there, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. But if you think about it at a broader scale, even of what would have happened if you would have made a different decision? What if you wouldn't have taken that job? What if you wouldn't have gone on the date with that person? What if you wouldn't have moved? What if you would have gone to work that day instead of staying home ill? What would have happened? And so if you can think about this even at a larger sense, which we know many people will say there's no way this is possible, but just let it ferment within your brain for a little bit. But what if there is a part of you and a consciousness of you who that did make that decision, that did not go on the date with that person and met someone else? What if they did not take that job that allowed them to excel and get where they are? Because out of fear, they decided they wanted to stay where they were at because they were afraid of the unknown. What would that look like? What could that be? So if you can think about it from that respect, there are so many different things that are coming up. And it is about understanding that there are all these different parts and versions of you. The same way when you look at it from this current consciousness, the inner child experiences. If you look at your inner child, that they've had so many experiences that have made who you are, but they could still be hurt. They could still have problems or traumas around things that happen. Say, for instance, they didn't hit the ball at the game that they needed to win for their baseball team. Perhaps they missed and they didn't hit the ball, so they didn't win. Does that sit with them as that they aren't able to fulfill what is there, that under pressure they fall down? All of those things are things that can experience. And if you think about it, that child then is part of who you are and who you were created. But what if they had hit that? So then you go back and you heal that so that that child did hit the ball and they did win the game for their team. And they did feel that elation and that exuberance and that joy around it. So you're then healing that within that consciousness and timeline that it did. So it's coming back and being reset with you. So when all of that resets together, that truly allows for the understanding, the recreation, and the being of who and what you are. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, so we can go back and recreate things from an earlier quote unquote time, um, and then be on a different consciousness according to the changes that we make from that time.
Of course. If you think about it just within the consciousness you're in now, you can go back and you can relive those timelines as a child or as a baby or even as an adult if there was something that became very traumatic or created energy around or a belief or a program that was there. So yes, you can go back and you can relive that, recreate that, and change that entire timeline so that it changes who you are now and it changes also you on all of the other timelines that you're in concurrently. And so that is part of healing. It is about you have evolved as a being to be able to look back on that little person that missed that ball so they did not win the game for their team and say, we understand that that was part of our experience and we are happy that that was our experience, but now we have grown above that and we understand that just missing that ball doesn't make us who we are today. That doesn't mean that any time that we are at under pressure to perform or do something like hitting the ball with so many people relying on us, that we just fall apart or that we believe we will never be able to fulfill that. So you find that over every time you are at that point, you have the big meeting at work that you have to get all of your family to a certain place, that you're planning a trip for family that is there, that you told friends you would book the reservation at the hotel and you're doing these things, that then you get to there and it doesn't happen or there's problems or it falls apart. That is about that recreation of it. But once you can heal that little person who missed that and say, it's okay. We understand it was there. We understand what needs to heal and we're getting ready to move on. That is when you will truly have the experience and the placement of knowing and understanding what has been and what will be. Because as you evolve, the same way a child grows into an adult, as you evolve, you understand there's things you no longer need. And when you've learned them, you go back and you just push that back through the lineage to allow for everyone to evolve and to grow together as beings. Does that help them?
Yes.
Okay.
So can we also make these types of timeline adjustments into future timelines? And is that what humans call manifestation? And if so, how can we do it more consciously?
So when you say, can you heal it into the future? Well, there is no past, there is no future, there is only now within all of these experiences and these consciousnesses and this energy. And so, yes, if you heal it now, it will heal as you can see from your human mind within the future, and it will also heal in the past. So yes, that is all part of that as well. But as you are growing and as you are experiencing, this truly allows for that reconnection of what has been and what will be. And so as you are growing and evolving, it allows for that understanding of what has been will truly be part of what is now. For as that is all coming together, you are also coming to find and having the understanding that the peace and the joy that also allows for you to become who and what you are and allows for you to reconnect within your higher self and your connection to source.
So, using an example of somebody that maybe has had a heartache in their younger years, and they are they, the human, is looking to manifest a healthy, loving relationship. How can they, would it be in, how can they manifest this? Would they need to go back into, and even though we know time doesn't exist, would they have to heal that inner child that had the heartache? And therefore, that is the way to create a better experience for them in love in a future time?
Yes, from your vantage point as a human, you would think about it as going back and working with that inner child, or you would think about it as going back into that other lifetime to heal that, to work with that, because they had the experience. So it is about looking at that being, that little child that you were, and going, it's okay. That there is so much here that is there for you, that allows for you to truly become who and what you are. And so you, in a way, consented to this happening as a soul, not as the young child, but as the soul, you knew that this was a possibility that could happen. And you were saying, okay, this happened. We are moving forward from this, whether it was positive, negative, or indifferent. But now, as you can tell that child that, you know what, it is okay, that you are still loved, you are still cared, or whatever else that child needs to hear to truly let that go and let that hurt go. That will be the connection of what it needs and how it can continue to excel. So when that child then can let that go and walks away from that, that is when so much more will come in, and when you will truly feel the connection and the peace of life and joy.
In our last meeting, you had mentioned record keepers. Can you give us an idea on who are record keepers and how do souls or consciousnesses work with them?
Well, the understanding that you all have is that there's the Akashic Records, which hold all of your understanding and your soul's journey, all of the tomes and the chapters and the words that have created the story of your soul from the time it was creation all the way up into where it is now. And so it is constantly there. And so it is like being jotted down, it is being written down within this space so that you can go back and you can look at it. And there are those energies that kind of keep those records there so that it keeps that understanding. You could think of it like a library almost, where you can go into that and see where your soul has been. Where is the journey? What contracts does it have out there that it wants to continue to move with? That it wants to learn, to grow, to understand? Are there things that need to be cleared or moved away? Are there things that need to be added? And so it is just about the energy of understanding that there are those beings and energies that keep track of that, that hold that space for all of that knowledge and information to be there. The same way when, as a human, you get a download of information, all of that comes through. And so there are those energies that do hold that information, but it is because you have agreed that you will allow that information to flow into your consciousness or to flow into your head at a certain point in time, to then allow that information to come forward when it is needed. And so that is how it is looked at. That is how it is connected to you. So it is just energy of where those are. The records are their own energy, and there are those that keep them safe and an allowance for that information to continually be added about you specifically.
And how do we work with the record keepers in our human form? Can we connect to them?
You can always ask for you to understand what has come up within your journey thus far as a spiritual being. You can connect in with them, you can ask about them. You can have someone also take you on a journey to go there through hypnosis or through meditation or through whatever else modality you would like. But it is about knowing that what is there. There are things that may need to shift, there are things that may need to adjust, but it truly allows for that connection of peace and time to truly come through with all that has been and all that will be.
There are many humans here that want to end the birth life cycle. What is your advice to those humans?
Well, part of the experience of being a human is the birth and death process, which is transformational. Because when you can come in here into a lifetime, and when you can come in and have a human experience which is where you can grow the fastest. It is not the same if you stay with on the spiritual plane, but when you can come in and grow so quickly with this energy and with all of these things that the earth has to offer, it truly allows for that understanding and that knowingness to push forward. And so, as a human, to end the death and birth process, well, that's saying that you no longer want to have the human experience. But that could be because of you in particular, then the experiences you've had that you want to move away from that. And so that could be something you make the decision to do later on. But what I would say is look at why you feel that way. What is it that happened within the earthly plane or within this existence that is creating this or that is allowing for this to truly be one again? Or when you can look at it that way, you will then know and understand that as these things are happening, there are things that you need to heal to allow yourself to understand that this process is there and it allows for beings to grow into experience. Now, it may not be for you any longer, but the first thing, and the thing we tell all beings, no matter what they believe, they think, or they want, is do not judge yourself or others for what you think. If it is different, that's okay. If everyone believed the same thing, there would be no free will, there would be no reconnection. But truly allow for this all to come in and allow for this sense of knowingness, peace, and joy. Is that helpful for you?
Yes.
Sure.
And from a human concept of hard and easy, is there such thing as an easy life and a hard lifetime? And why do we choose one or the other? Is
Well,
there a purpose in either?
easy and hard are words that you look at as good and bad, but they're really not. There's a case where a soul may decide to choose to take more on in this lifetime than someone else, because that is the experience they wanted to have. So you could say that they chose a harder lifetime because they chose more experiences that would be difficult for them to get through. Versus another soul who came in, had a very easy lifetime, always had money, shelter, food, had friends, family, had a family, had a career, traveled, saw the world, and then exited their lifetime. You would say they had it easy, but maybe they had a very hard one before, and this one was just about seeing the joy of things. Or maybe they needed to see others have those experiences so they could prepare for it. Or maybe they came in not even wanting hard or easy, but they said, I'm going to support a certain members of my family on their journey. So they were there just as someone who could come in and support and be one with them. For when all of that happens, when all of that comes in, it truly allows for the knowingness, the understanding, and the peace and the joy to truly be where it needs to be. So never judge someone or say, oh, I feel bad for them that they have all of this going on. Instead, say, how can I support them on their journey? How can I allow for them to understand it? Instead of getting in their way or putting judgment or giving them pity, say, I'm here to support you. Send them love, send them joy, and allow for them to see that they can pull through this. If they decide not to finish a certain thing, then know that that is okay. They may say, I know part of my experience is going through this or doing this next step, but it is not something I'm ready to do right now. Do not judge them for that, but instead support them in their decision and know that they will do. For as long as they are doing it out of respect for themselves, for others, and out of love, and it is not harming others in any way, that is when they know that it is truly for their greatest good at that time, even if they are not completing something that they had chose to come into within this lifetime. Does that make sense to you?
That is a beautiful answer on how all of us having this human experience can show more compassion and non judgment to our fellow human beings.
We are happy you enjoyed that.
Are there highly evolved souls here on Earth right now? Can you give us examples of if we encounter one, what would we would notice about them?
Well, when you think of the concept of highly evolved souls, you are thinking more of at the master level or ascended masters, as you so call them. But yes, all of you can come across those beings that have more experiences, that have reached a higher dimension or vibration. And you will notice because they will pull people to them, but they will be very humble. They will be very kind. They will be very loving. They will not pass judgment on others or put their beliefs on others, but allow them to have their experiences and through support. And so it is about them saying, this is what we believe, or this is what I believe, and this is where I am. But it is okay if you do not have to understand it. You will find that they will be more concerned with the spiritual world and about the journey on earth and the learnings instead of the material things on earth. They may have some of the material things because that is what their experience is, or they need those things to live. For you need a home or a place to live or a shelter when you are on earth. You cannot continue to walk the path without that. But the humbleness will be there. It will not be more of this is where I'm at, this is what I have, but they will look at things from more of a collective, and not just a collective of oneness, but a collective of consciousness, a collective of an understanding that all is energy. And when you hurt, I hurt. When they are doing something, it is also affecting me, even if I don't experience it, because I see it energetically. They are able to utilize energy in many ways. They can heal with it. They can shift with it. They can bilocate with it. There are all these things that are open to them. And so this is just the first step in understanding and knowing that this is how life can, should, and will be. And know everyone can get there. Everyone can be there. But also know that highly evolved souls, even when they are in the human experience, also need time to recharge. You may find that they come out, they share, they're there, but they also need to go back inward to truly reset, to truly do that. Because if they came to Earth, they have a mission, they have a journey, and there's things they want to experience. And so they still have the human existence as well. They just see it in a slightly different way. And when they see that in a different way, they know and understand that there is more there than what is spoken. And they can feel things and they know things because they're connected at a higher level than most humans are.
So, as these highly evolved souls demonstrate to us our own soul's evolution, is it a process of being less attached to material possessions and more attached to our own soul's evolution and letting go of um like external things?
It is about connecting with who and what you are. It is about going inward to seeing what your soul needs to experience. And you can say, I want to get there, but it might not be on your path at this point in time because there are things you need to experience to continue to grow. But ultimately, if you can look at all things without judgment, without beliefs or programs, and look at others with that concept of oneness and say, that is the decision they made, that is the journey they made, and that is okay. That is the first step for you to continue to evolve on your path in so called life.
What are some other steps we can take after that?
It is about making it part of your consciousness at all times. Because you can put intention into saying, you pass judgment on someone, you say, no, I need to shift that. And so you get to a point where that is just your belief and your program, that there is no judgment, that you can give thoughts about someone else, but in a kind manner. For instance, you can say, they may not make the best decisions that align with me. So that is their journey, but I am choosing to pull myself back instead of saying they're a bad person who makes bad decisions and they're horrible. That is said with judgment, where the prior one was said with love. And it is saying that is their decision. And I am just choosing to remove myself from the situation. And so it's about having that knowingness and understanding that as all of these things are coming in, you are also coming to the conclusion of what has been and what will be. And so just take those small steps. Let yourself see things for what they are. Let yourself not get pulled into fears, to beliefs, to all of these things that others want you to think, and just see what resonates with you. And know it may change. You may believe one thing now, you may believe something later. And don't judge yourself or others and say, well, this is what I said I have to. For you may say, well, the sky is blue. And I firmly believe the sky is blue. And then the next week you go, I think the sky probably is more colors than just blue, that I think it reflects more of what is on Earth, that I think it provides us with the differences between the green grass or the brown mountains, and blue is just a color that comes through. But I have seen it in reds and oranges or purples or pinks or greens or all of these other colors at different times. And then you say, well, I think the sky can be a multitude of colors, depending upon what is happening within that space. And you won't berate yourself and say, no, you said the sky was blue and you need to believe the sky is blue. But you can say, now I understand that is a constantly changing and evolving energy on the planet. And so, yes, it does change, it does shift, just like all things do. Or when that comes in and that is said, that is when you know that you can continue to shift forward and understand what is there. So that is the first thing to try out, to step into, and to connect with as you are becoming one with Source, yourself, and the journey you have chosen to be on. Anything else you have for us at this point in time?
I think we are good for now.
Okay. Well, we appreciate all of your additional questions and information that we can provide today. For this has been very enlightening, we hope for most. And with that, we wish you abundance. All right.
How do you feel?
Good.
Good. Those were some deeper questions this time.
They were. How did they come through for you? Would we answer a lot of them or anything that's still on the fence there for you?
You know, I'm a curious person, so I have tons of questions, but they, it really just goes back down to, as humans, how can we see each other for who they are, for who we are as souls, and not have that judgment and just have more compassion for each other's journey and, the lessons that we've chosen to lessons, right? That we've chosen to come into this lifetime with, instead of judging them and saying, oh, this person, I don't agree with them, saying, you know what? This is just part of the lesson that they're here to learn. And I'm going to back off my judgment so that they have the space to learn and the support from me to say, I honor you in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the key, is just I think the big thing I got out of it, and I've been for someone who's talked about this for many years, is don't judge others. And I know it's in our human nature that we want to, and we want to put people down or compare or contrast. And, you may have a comment here and there, and, like I think all of us humans do. I know I do at times, but it's saying, no, that doesn't need to be there. And just trying to shift into that plane of, you know what, everyone is on their journey and everyone is walking their path. And we may view it as negative or positive or indifferent, but that's their journey. We're on ours, and we just have to support each other on it when it's healthy and in alignment for us.
Yeah, and when you talked about, or when they talked about the earth also ascending, right? This is how we as humans bring up the collective consciousness, right? Is through these principles of non-judgment, non-attachment, compassion, love, peace, joy, right? That's what's going to help bring earth up, as well as she does her own work, of course, but as us humans do it to help support each other.
Yeah. And as we're each supporting each other and helping each other, it's only helping Mother Earth as well, and the dimensions there. Because as we ascend, it's easier for her ascend. We're not pulling her down, so to speak.
I felt that when you were talking about Mother Earth, and her ascension, and how as humans are here also to help with that. It's a symbiotic relationship with humans and Mother Earth and all the planets and beings here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this again today. I really love these conversations and you ask such insightful questions. So I so appreciate it. And
I appreciate the beautiful advice. I mean, it was really, really like beautiful and uplifting
yeah,
today.
yeah. Well, and we did the second part too, because a lot of people had said, we need more, we need more. So if there's anything you guys want to hear more on, definitely let us know. Or I guess let me know, and we will do more if there's any other topics, questions, or people you want out there. But again, Avani, thank you so much. All of her contact information will be below if you want to connect with her. So definitely reach out. And mine will be down there as well. And with that, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.